Have you ever felt like you don't know which path you should take? I did. For me, it was especially difficult. I was constantly pressured by my circumstances from a very young age. Thankfully, when I was 12, I came across an anime that helped me decide. It was called Berserk. It would be more accurate to say that it was this specific scene. Guts, our main character, is reminiscing about his past while contemplating what path he should take. He considers his dreams and his destiny, all the while trying to find his purpose in life. Guts is a mercenary who has been in fields of war since he was a young child. War is all he's ever known. Does this sword embody my dreams? He asks himself. It has always been at my side, through pain I could hardly endure. Yes, this is part of me. Whenever I met death, my sword was with me as I moved past it. For all the places I have seen, and people I can never forget, I have experienced them all through the tip of my sword. This sword is the proof that I ever lived. Enter Godo, an incredibly skilled blacksmith, who begins working on Guts' sword after a long day of training. Godo, how did you decide to become a blacksmith? Guts asks. Family trade, Godo replies. Do you like it? Says Guts. I don't know, replies Godo. I've been gripping this thing since before I could even walk, referring to his hammer. I didn't choose this. This is who I am. I just strike it. I don't think. I spent my youth desperate to forge a better sword, to become a more skilled smith. Before I knew it, I was old. I don't even know what the hell I strike the iron for. But there is still one thing I like about it. The sparks. I like seeing the sparks. It's breathtaking. Life bursting before my eyes for just a moment. My life. After watching this scene, I decided I wanted to be like Godo and Guts. What did Godo and Guts do, and how can I apply it to my life? Godo became a blacksmith because it was his family trade. Naturally, as we grow, we slowly start to specialize in specific areas more than others, depending on what we enjoy the most. So I'd say it's worth thinking about the different things that you enjoy doing or are slightly better at than most. I want to emphasize the phrase slightly better than most here, because if you're already the best at something, then the rest of what Godo went through won't really apply to you anymore. Godo said that he spent his youth desperate to forge a better sword and become a better swordsman. This implies that he was not the best, or maybe even any good. The bit that I find kind of moving, though, is when he says that while he was chasing his obsession, he got so immersed in it that before he knew it, he was old. When I enjoy something, when I enjoy it a lot, something like playing a video game, hours will pass me by, and I won't have even noticed it. This is the beauty of choosing an obsession. How did I apply this to my life? Well, when I was young, I really liked playing games. I was good at drawing and at maths. I loved games because somebody created them, and knowing that it was possible to one day make one of my own seemed incredible to me. As I grew older, I realized that it was easier to make a game with a group of people, and I thought that if the opportunity ever presented itself, I wanted to be able to form my own group of people and make an amazing game. Unfortunately, I didn't have any friends who shared my passion. Drawing the assets wouldn't be too big of a deal. I thought, the main problem is programming. So I decided there was no way around it, and I'd have to learn it. I remember I started by watching a bunch of C++ YouTube tutorials, much like you're probably doing right now. When I finally wrote my first Hello World program, my obsession began. I found that I would look down at my tiny laptop screen for what seemed like minutes, but then I would look up, and the whole day had gone by. After a few years went by, I was convinced this is what I wanted to do for a living. Compete with yourself. Notice that Godo doesn't say, I spent my youth trying to become a better blacksmith than Masamune. It's important not to compete with others while chasing your obsession, because other people have different advantages or disadvantages than you, so it's not really the best way to measure how you're doing. When I was younger, I would often compare myself with others when chasing my obsession, specifically with classmates who had more financial stability. I would often see how they had a better computer or access to more time than me, and that would weaken my will to continue pursuing my obsession. because it would make me feel like I could never catch up, and that would lead to me feeling helpless and sad. After a long time passed, I looked back at what I was like just a few years earlier, and I noticed I'd become significantly more skilled than I was before. Additionally, a lot of those classmates who had similar obsessions would hit some sort of difficulty, and they would end up simply giving up and doing something different. So all those advantages were gone, and me being sad about being at such a disadvantage had been meaningless. In fact, if I'd spent more time working on my obsession, I would be even better than I am now. Make sure it brings you great enjoyment. It's worth noting that Godo doesn't necessarily like to be a blacksmith. What drives his obsession is to see the sparks, even if it's only for a moment. Athletes are the best example of this because they train for years just so they can shine brightly for a few seconds. Being a programmer does have a lot of annoying things about it, but the spark for me is coming up with a really simple solution for a really complex problem after struggling for a long time. In order to get there though, you have to go through things that are simply quite annoying. Similarly, if you were to really enjoy dancing as a hobby and say that was your spark, unfortunately, though that doesn't bring you money or a sustainable income, you could do something related to that which does. Like you could become a physiotherapist for professional dancers, and then on your time off you could spend that time dancing, which is what you do like. Choosing your career should be about finding your obsession, leaving your mark in the world. While it may sound cheesy, having an unattainable dream is a great motivator. For example, Godo's dream was to craft a better and better sword. Your passion and job title don't always have to be joined at the hip. You might grind through something you're not crazy about, like working at a restaurant, just to bankroll more time for what sets your soul on fire, drawing or programming. What's important is to never give up. If you like this type of content, please don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.